Welcome everybody to the Leo B the Lion show. It's your boy Leo B the Lion, and I'm coming to you live from my home. This time I was feeling under the weather yesterday for my show, so I couldn't do it live at Respectable Street for subcultureradio.com. But here I am, Leo B the Lion. You can follow me at Leo B the Lion channel on YouTube and on Twitter and IG at Leo B the Lion show. I have a lot to bring to you on today's show and a lot of new information from last week. I'm going to update you with my hashtag 5-pack of picks, of course. And we're going to get into the Miami Dolphins win, the MLB World Series. We're going to talk about NBA Florida update, how the NBA teams are doing. And we're going to get into college football, NFL news and notes, Miami Dolphins again, and then my hashtag 5-pack of picks. So let's get into it, and then I would have normally on Mondays I preview the Monday Night Football game, but this time, since Monday Night Football already happened, I'm gonna end up giving you a little recap of what happened and what to expect for the two teams going forward, for the Bengals and the Browns, who just played last night in Cleveland, Ohio, and it was a crazy game, but we'll get into it later. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you. Boom, boom. It's a Leo B the Lion show. Boom, boom. Gonna tell you what you need to know. Boom, boom. Now here comes your boy Leo. What's up, everybody? It's back to the Leo B the Lion show, and you can follow me on Twitter and IG at Leo B the Lion show. And I'd appreciate if you could subscribe right now or like this show on my channel, Leo B the Lion. I appreciate that, everybody. Now let's get into the show. Like I was saying, the first topic that I'm going to talk about is the MLB World Series. As I speak, they're getting ready to play Game 3. They rained out. Game 3 was rained out or postponed a couple days ago, and now it's Game 3 tonight in Philadelphia. Houston Astros versus the Philadelphia Phillies. And this is going to be a great game. This is going to have Lance McCullers Jr. for the Astros versus, it was going to be Noah Syndergaard. But now it's going to be Ranger Torres. I'll look it up in a second. But it's going to be another pitcher who's a lefty. And I would have given the edge to Syndergaard. But now I'm giving the edge to the Astros and Lance McCullers Jr. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because when I looked up the two teams and their record against each opposing starting pitcher, there was multiple home runs, and most of the teams looked like they had hit against those pitchers before. So when the World Series plays tonight at 8 o'clock, we'll see what happens. The Astros hold a 3-2 lead against the Phillies in this season, and we'll see if they can. That includes regular season and playoffs. So for the MLB, you have the Lance McCullers Jr., and then you have what's his face, Ranger Suarez. So I expect, personally, I don't know who's going to win, but I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and I think that the pitchers probably will be out early, and it'll get into the bullpen again. So hopefully the Phillies can stay with the high-flying offense of the Houston Astros because they've been the hottest team of late. And like I said, they're continuing that into the postseason. And the series is tied 1-1. Let's see which team can take the pivotal Game 3 without either of the team's aces going. And let's see what can happen. I'm excited. Let's go Phillies. I want the Phillies to win this series 4-2 personally, even though the Astros are the West Palm Beach team, if you will, for spring training, including them and the Washington Nationals. So now, next, I'm going to be getting into the NBA Florida update. This involves the Magic and the Miami Heat. Every week I'll be trying to talk about how these teams are progressing throughout the season. Jimmy Butler just came out and said, I don't give a bleep that we're 2-5. We're going to win the NBA championship. And he just basically put the team on his back and said, it doesn't matter how we do it this beginning of the season. We're going to come back. We're going to be dangerous comes times the playoffs. The Heat aren't doing that well though. They're 2-5, and they're going against the Warriors and tonight, and they have Jimmy Butler, and they're not really scoring that much. The Crew isn't scoring that much. Jimmy Butler's getting his, but the Crew, they need another superstar. Yeah, they have Hero, and he's the sixth man of the year, but they need a superstar that they can lean on day in, day out in the starting lineup. And six man can just be, they just basically don't start, but then they play the majority of the minutes. But I think either Hero needs to put on some weight, or they need to go with they need to go and look to try to make trades and see what they can do. Now, as for the Magic right now are 1-6. They're going up against OKC. They look horrible. The Magic are my real team, my NBA team that I follow. And I must say it's Paolo Banchero and everybody else. And it looks like the Magic are starting off to be a lottery team unless they can gel. They have the size. They have Bol. They have Paolo Banchero. They have a lot of size. They have a lot of good point guards. And they just don't have that wing. You would say they don't have that super wing presence. But that's just how it goes sometimes. So then after that, you have Terrence Ross and players like that. And I like Cole Anthony, but he's been injured. I like the two German guys, the Wagner and Wagner. I think that's the name. But I need to follow up on them. But, it'll be important for the Magic to try to bounce back and make this season respectable, see what they can do, maybe make a playoff spot. But if it looks like they're going to be a lottery pick, and they might get Wembanyama again if they make, or not again, but they might get that first-round pick. So let's see what happens. It's still early in the season. It was 7 games, but they've only won 1, and they're going against OKC tonight, and they're 3-point dogs on the road. I don't know if they'll be able to win in OKC because OKC gets that crowd into it, and you could just, you're out of the game already before you talk. So now that we're getting into football, I'm going to go ahead and put on this football music, even though it's not college. But let's go ahead and talk about the college game right quick. So the first thing that happened is UCF had their homecoming game. And their homecoming game, which yours truly, Leo B. the Lion, went to, with my boy Anthony D'Amico, we went to the UCF homecoming. And let me just say, it was so cool to be back on campus, to see all the people and see everybody and how awesome it was, tailgating the game. And just even after the game when we were at Duffy's chilling, it was just fun. So UCF beat Cincy for their homecoming game, 25-21 in comeback fashion, in the fourth quarter, in the bounce house. And it was a hell of a victory, in a hell of a rivalry. We snapped a 6-game winning streak of Cincinnati, and our backup quarterback, Mikey Keene, had to come in. And Mikey Keene, I like to be like Mikey, he likes it, like the old Kicks commercial. #dated reference. But I do like to talk about the old commercials and stuff that used to be on TV because, TV, when everything was, you had to watch TV at a certain time and shows at a certain time and commercials could be built around that. There was a certain connectivity of culture of people. You knew that most households were sitting down to watch Thursday night must-see TV or Monday Night Football when they were watching it. So just that's a quick little soapbox I'm getting off of. And then, so Mikey Keene had to come in. And he played great on the final game-winning drive. They had he was 4 for 4 for 57 yards, and Harvey Jr. was able to punch it in the end zone, rush it in, and the Knights won the game 25-21. The next game that I want to talk about is FSU versus Georgia Tech. FSU just keeps on rolling. They beat Georgia Tech 41-16. Go Noles, and Jordan Travis balled out. He had 3 touchdowns, and he's the West Palm Beach product. He's from West Palm Beach. Jordan Travis went to Cardinal Newman High School, and he's one of the West Palm Beach prospects. #Palm Beach Strong. Let's go. Then the college game I want to talk about is Florida versus Georgia, and Florida got housed 42-20. And it's because Georgia's good. Florida's pretty good, but Georgia, Florida's right here, but Georgia is up here. So And UCF is sorry this year. This is just one of their down years, and they can't help it because Georgia is just a powerhouse right now, as they should be. They're defending national champs. They just reloaded at this time. So I really think and I believe that UCF is, that Georgia is national championship worthy again, but I think Tennessee is going to take them down. We'll see what happens. Then I want to talk about FAU versus UAB. I'm proud of FAU getting the win over the Blazers, 24-17. Good win, Owls. It's a really good win, Owls. And N'Kosi Perry, the Miami transfer, went 14 for 25, 187 yards with 3 TDs. Count them, 3 TDs and no picks. That's what I like to see. Good job, N'Kosi Perry. Muy bien, Chino. And then, now, I'm just going to rewind this real quick. Let's just get into the NFL recap portion of the show. And the reason why I want to talk about the NFL recap portion of the show is because my Miami Dolphins are now sitting at 5-3. They beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit on Forest Field in that dome, 31-27. Tua had his best game as a Dolphin. Yeah, a few weeks back he had 6 touchdowns and 2 picks with 500 something, 400 something yards. But this time he had an even more efficiently great day. He was 29 of 36, which is basically like 80%. And he threw for 382 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns, no picks. And guess what his average throwing distance was? His average throwing distance was 10.6. So his average pass was 10.6. So when your average pass is a first down, that's pretty good throwing. That's some pretty darn good quarterbacking right there, pal. So I'm proud of Tua. He had a 92.8 QBR, and that's not quarterback rating. The 158.3 is the tops. That's the QBR where it takes into not only your stats, but when in the game you did them, and it's out of 0 to 100. 50 is like an average game for a quarterback. If you get up to like 67, 70, then you're like a Pro Bowl quarterback. And his QBR right now, his QBR was 92.8. So yeah, he had a pretty good game. It's hard to have a above 90 QBR, let alone above 85 QBR and shit like that. Excuse my French. Okay, next I want to talk about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They are the best wide receiving duo in the league. I challenge anybody. You can give me Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. You can give me Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. You can give me any of those guys. I know I'm forgetting a few. Shoot, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Give me Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And guess what? Jalen Waddle had 8 receptions for 106 yards and 2 TDs. That's right, 2 tutties, baby. And Tyreek Hill, he just had a ho-hum, 12 receptions on 14 targets and 188 yards. That's all he had. So there's been 10 games in the NFL so far where a receiver has caught for over 160 yards, and Tyreek has 4 out of the 10 games. And no other player has more than 1. So that's what I'm talking about. The defense made adjustments at halftime. I know McDaniel was pissed. I got a tweet saying, my boy told me about a tweet talking about, you could hear the coaches yelling at the players or chewing the players out that they need to get right and make adjustments at halftime. So the defense came out and made adjustments, and all those penalties in the first half were our coaching mistakes, because your team's discipline is on the coaching staff. And so McDaniel had to get right. He had to get the penalties right. We still got to get the penalties right moving forward. Get a little bit more discipline. And we're 5-3, tied for second in the AFC East. We're in 5th position. If the playoffs started today, we'd be 5th seed in wild card, which I predicted the Dolphins are going to go 12-5 and get the 5th seed. So let's see what the Dolphins can do going forward. Now, the next game on the NFL news and notes that I want to recap is the Broncos versus the Jags. This was the second London game of the year. The Broncos versus the Jags. The Broncos came back in stunning fashion to beat the Jags 21-17, where Russell Wilson did just enough to win the game. He did just enough to win the game. He didn't have one of those Russ Cook games. He didn't have one of those manage the games. He did just enough to win the game. And frankly, if your quarterback does just enough to win the game, I don't think he's worth $250 million. Even though I like Russell Wilson. That's my dog. I appreciate him. And the Jags are still young, so they probably were in London Abbey doing their thing, you know. And it's in London, so it's always a toss-up game. You never really know what's going to happen. Oh, and by the way, the Broncos traded at the trade deadline today. The Broncos traded Bradley Chubb to the Miami Dolphins for the Dolphins' 2023 first-round pick, which is the 49ers, a fourth-round pick, and Chase Edmonds. And then we got Bradley Chubb and a fifth-round pick next year for that. And I'm so excited. The Dolphins will have more of a pass rush now, an even better pass rush, and even more a better way for like Van Ginkel. He can cover a little bit more instead of always rushing the passer. He can relax a little bit more now. Bradley Chubb can take that over, and we can have a more Chubb on one side, Phillips on the other, and let's go to town on these quarterbacks so our secondary can look good, and the quarterbacks can throw up those ducks for our secondary to ball out with. Let's do it. Now, the next game I want to talk about is the Cowboys, who are rolling, by the way, 49-29 versus the Chicago Bears. The Cowboys, if I do know one thing, their offense looked good, but that was against the Bears. But the Cowboys have a Super Bowl defense. Yeah, the Bears scored 29, but when your defense doesn't have to put on the gas on the pedal, they didn't really, they're up 49-something, so it was like straight. And the Cowboys' offense seems to be coming on strong if you can beat the Bears 49-29. The Cowboys are 6-2, only behind the Eagles, tied with the Giants for second in the NFC East. And now let's talk about the Saints versus the Raiders. Everyone kind of had the Raiders end up being the slight favorite when the game went off on Sunday, but the Saints ended up shutting out the Raiders 24-0 in New Orleans. I was like, oh, the Raiders have to come east to the Dome? It's over. You got to go in New Orleans the Mercedes-Benz? I got a Mercedes-Benz. A Mercedes-Benz Superdome? Let's roll, baby. So that's all I'm saying. You had to do that, and the Saints shut you out. So that's what happens when you got to come to. And Kamara balled out. At one point, he had 9 receptions for 96 yards and 2 TDs. And he was running the ball as well. Andy Dalton balled out 22 of 30 for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the Saints moved to 3-5. And it looks like the Raiders are really bad. I don't know what happened to them. Maybe just the coaching didn't get right, or just the Raiders being the Raiders. But the Raiders look horrible, ladies and gentlemen. The last game I want to talk about in the NFL recap news and notes is the Ravens versus the Bucks. This was the Thursday night matchup last week. And the Ravens beat the Bucks 27-22 in Tampa Bay. Brady's having issues. What can I say? It looks like he's having issues at home, abroad, and overseas. Foreign and domestic, however you want to just call it like that. He's having problems. And the Ravens quietly are winning. They're the quietest 5-3 team that I've ever seen. Like right now, I don't even know how the Ravens got to 5 wins. But they're 5-3, and you can't knock them. Your record says what you are, and the Ravens are 5-3. And Tucker missed a field goal. I have to mention that. Justin Tucker, he's on my fantasy teams. Out of my 2 fantasy teams, I drafted Justin Tucker because I'll never forget it. Ron Burgundy, they asked him, it was Will Ferrell playing Ron Burgundy on SportsCenter, and they're like, Ron, what do you think is the most important position on the football field? And he was like, I'd have to say the punter. And I just thought that was funny. But anyway, I drafted Justin Tucker on both of my fantasy teams, and he missed a field goal. So that was surprising. I didn't think he would even miss one this year. And so let's see what happens going forward with him. The Bucks are 3-5, and the Ravens are 5-3. The Bucks are still in contention in their bad division, but Like I said, the Ravens are the quietest 5-3 team in the NFL this year. I dare you to show me another 5-3 team that you were like, wait, how did they get to 5 wins? I thought they lost a few games. So that's how it goes. Then now let's bring it to and switch gears to get back to my soon-to-be world-famous hashtag 5-pack of picks, my 5-pop, or my hashtag 5-pack of picks recap. I was 23, 19, and 2 coming into this week, and I was trying to get deeper into the money. Let's go. So the first game that I picked was TCU -7 in the hook versus West Virginia. TCU won that game 41-31 by 10 points. And like I said, and what I believe and what I'll do going forward, and treat TCU as a good team with a good quarterback and a good coach. And anytime in college football you can have a good quarterback and a good coach, that can take you places. So I'm 1-0 on my 5-pack of picks. The next game that I picked was the Fighting Illini of Illinois -7 in the hook versus Nebraska. Nebraska is a bottom feeder of the Big Ten. Illini won 26-9, and Nebraska's trash, and Illinois is ill. Like, they are sick. You can just, take it to the bank that Illinois is a good competitive team. They don't have a good quarterback. Well, they do actually. He's a transfer from Syracuse, Tommy DeVito, but they have a great running back and their coach, Brett Bielema, who, if I tell you that, you would never guess that the coach of Illinois was Brett Bielema, but he is. So that's just how it goes. And so I was 2-0 in my college picks. I swept my college picks, so 2-0. Now let's move to the NFL portion of my 5-pack of picks recap. It is the Dolphins -3.5 versus Detroit, and like I mentioned earlier, the Dolphins won 31-27, so that moved me to 3-0. The Dolphins are 5-3. Next week, got to go to Chicago, and possibly Bradley Chubb. He is eligible to play next week, just coming over from Denver to the Dolphins because of the trade deadline timing. He's eligible to play next week, pending a physical. I'm so excited. Let's see if Bradley Chubb can just get in there. It'll be like, yo, I know you don't know the schemes, but just rush the passer. That's all we need you to do. And just play with your instincts, and you'll be good. Let's go, Chubb. So I'm 3-0. That brought me to 3-0. And the Detroit offense is good. That's why they scored 27 points. So I'm 3-0 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks recap. Now let's move to my fourth game that I picked in my hashtag 5-pack of picks, which was the Jags -3, laying 3 points against the Broncos in London. And you know what happened? Like I mentioned earlier, it was one of the 5 recap news and notes of the NFL was that the Broncos showed life and they won. And it's funny that the Broncos showed life and they won the game, but they still traded Bradley Chubb. So, Jags, come on, man. So that brought me 3-1 in my 5-pack of picks. And then the fifth pick that I made was the Titans versus the Texans. It was the Titans -3 versus the Houston Texans. And the Titans won the game 17-10 on the strength of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag King Henry is back. Yo, he carried the ball 32 times for 219 yards, which is basically almost a 7-yard average. And he got 2 tutties. And he won the game because they won the game 17-10. He put the team on his back. Let's go, Derrick Henry. King Henry is back, ladies and gentlemen. And that brought me to 4-1 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks recap. And now I am going forward as of November 1st, 2022. I am 27-20-2 on my hashtag 5-pack of picks. Now let's use this week to get even deeper into the money. Let's go. Hashtag soon to be world famous. Hashtag 5-pack of picks. Oh yeah. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like it, and comment if you disagree or comment if you agree about any of the teams that I mentioned, about my critique or my praise or my laud for the teams. You can follow me on Twitter and IG at Leo B. The Lion Show, and subscribe to my Leo B. The Lion YouTube channel. Now, let's go forward. My hashtag 5-pack of picks, or my hashtag 5-pop for the week is, first, UCF -5 in the hook laying 5 in the hook versus Memphis. UCF is 6-2, and Memphis is 4-4. And it looks like Mikey Keene is going to get the start because John Rice Plumlee went out with a head injury. Let's hope he's okay. And Mikey Keene is hungry to get the reps in. He's hungry to play and show out what he can do, because there's rumor that if he didn't get the reps, or if he didn't get to be the starter, even though John Rice Plumlee is injured, he's thinking about transferring. So maybe this will prevent him from transferring, and see that maybe he can win the starting job if he plays really well. So I have UCF laying the 5.5 for my first of this week's hashtag 5-pack of picks. UCF is the American Athletic Conference champ. They have championship aspirations, and first starts winning your conference. So if they can win against Memphis, they can be well on their way to beating and winning the American Conference. And UCF is the better team on paper, so I expect them to win. But you never know. It's at Memphis. It's going to be a tough team to beat, and we'll see what happens. But I have UCF laying the 5 in the hook versus Memphis. Second pick in my hashtag 5-pack of picks is Clemson laying the 3.5 versus Notre Dame. It's in Notre Dame Stadium, under Touchdown Jesus, with just a Touchdown Jesus watching. But I really think, and normally I would pick Notre Dame in these spots, and I've been burned so many times by picking Notre Dame in these close spots, that this would be the time where Notre Dame covers, right? But I gotta take Clemson. Clemson is the better team. They're 8-0. They're 5 versus Notre Dame's 5-3. Yeah, Notre Dame has had a tough schedule, and Clemson hasn't had the toughest schedule. But but regardless, Clemson is undefeated. You can't argue with undefeated most of the times, especially their one and an asterisk other ACC team. So I really think Clemson has the better talent. And Will Shipley, I'm just gonna be real. I didn't think that he was a good running back, but he can run. He changed my mind. And Notre Dame is at home, like I said, so I'm worried. But I believe Clemson will cover this 3.5. I could see Clemson either winning by 3 on a last-second field goal, or I can see where Clemson blows out Notre Dame, or if Notre Dame's defense somehow makes Clemson turn the ball over a few times. That's the only way I can see Notre Dame winning. So let's just see what happens going forward. Those are my 2 picks for college. UCF minus 5 in the hook, and Clemson laying 3 in the hook versus Notre Dame. Now let's go to our NFL portion of my hashtag 5-pack of picks. And the first one that I have up to bat is Arizona Cardinals laying the 2.5 versus Seattle. This is going to be the Cardinals at home, so they're in the Big Toaster in Arizona. I expect the Cardinals to start playing better football because they have DeAndre Hopkins back. Everybody was counting out DeAndre Hopkins and the Cardinals, but people forget that DeAndre Hopkins is possibly the best wide receiver in the league when he is running on all cylinders. He catches everything that's thrown at him, and he's faster, deceptively fast. So DeAndre Hopkins is back, and I think the Cards can pressure Geno. The Cardinals continue to have an underrated defense, so I think they could put the pressure on Geno Smith. So I'm going to take the Cardinals laying the 2.5 versus Seattle. Then, for my number 4th out of my 5-pack of picks, I'm going with the Titans taking the 11 points versus the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And I know they're saying that the Chiefs are probably going to, because it's in Arrowhead, so it's tough to play in Arrowhead, and the Titans are probably not going to be able to run the ball. If they get behind early, they won't be able to run the ball and come back. But guess what? The Titans have an underrated defense. King Henry, like I said earlier, hashtag King Henry is back, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to try my dog like that and give them 11 points and they're not going to cover. That's all I'm saying. You're not going to try my dog King Henry like that and give him 11 points and he's not going to cover that? Come on, man. So the Titans have won 5 straight, and they're quietly 6-2. They won 5 straight. So let's go. Let's go Titans. Now my 5th and final hashtag 5-pack of picks is the Dolphins laying the 4.5 4.5 against the Bears. The Dolphins are legit on offense with Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. And now that they've added Bradley Chubb and Jeff Wilson Jr., I forgot to mention that the Dolphins also got Jeff Wilson Jr. for a fifth-round pick or a fourth-round pick from the 49ers. Jeff Wilson Jr. is familiar with the 49ers scheme Mike McDaniel likes to run. And now you have Raheem Mostert. So you basically have the Eastern 49ers. So you have Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. now, the two running backs, former 49ers running backs, two fast running backs, two backs capable of taking it on any turn, but a good 1-2 punch for the Dolphins going forward. So I like that. For that reason, also the Dolphins have their passing game is legit. And getting Bradley Chubb and the Dolphins defense already against Justin Fields. I like the Dolphins to win this game, to cover in this game. -4 in the hook. Give me the Bears. Contain the Bears' run offense. The Bears are still so young. And the Bears just got Chase Claypool, but they got rid of Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. So they lost two defensive players, and now they have... And then now they just added Chase Claypool, which I don't think is going to make much of a difference on offense, or let alone for the whole team. Now, let me give you a quick. So let me just recap my hashtag 5-pack of picks for this week. I'm 27, 20, and 2, and the 5 picks are UCF -5 in the hook against Memphis, Clemson on the road against Memphis, Clemson another road favorite 3.5 versus Notre Dame. Arizona at home, favorite -2 in the hook versus Seattle. Then I like the Titans. You're not going to try my dog, King Henry. Hashtag King Henry is back. +11 versus the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And then I like the Dolphins -4 in the hook versus the Bears, because the Dolphins are a legit Super Bowl contender going forward. They're 5-3. Let's go, Dolphins. Hashtag fins up. Now, this has been another episode of Leo B. the Lion Show. And I just want to leave you with this. Going forward, I will be at the radio station. It was just I was feeling under the weather. And remember, last week I said have confidence in your people and see them shine. But this week, I'm going to tell you, be enthusiastic about life. Life is so short. Takeoff, I'm going to turn this music down. Takeoff of Migos was shot to death. Rest in peace, Takeoff. He was actually the youngest member of Migos. He was the nephew of Quavo, and he was the quietest member of Migos. He didn't really have nothing to, he wasn't going really, he wasn't really trying to shoot nothing, do nothing, and he just got caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. And my heart goes out to the family. And I want to tell you that have enthusiasm for life. There might be some days that you don't want to wake up and go out and go to work. Or there might be some days that you just want to sit around the house all day. And you're entitled to that sometimes. But there's some days you got to work and go to work with enthusiasm. Take joy in the work. And you will see the day fly by. 1, you'll be productive and you'll be proud of yourself. 2, and 3, when you look back and you see what all you've accomplished, you can say to yourself, I made a dent today. I made my own dent in my universe today. And I'm proud of myself. So remember that. Be enthusiastic about everything that you do, and you'll see that reap the rewards. Leo B. the Lion signing off.